the biggest Dodgers pitching upgrade of the entire offseason isn't a free agent, isn't a trade rumor, but an arbitration fight happening in Detroit. Because one superstar arm just drew a hard line, and that might quietly help LA more than you think.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Harry Ruiz. That's Travis Rodgers, and it's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network now, the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, we hit the listener line, Miguel Rojas' role, defending Dodger spending, and there's a hot dog question in there too. While other teams deal with drama, the Dodgers quietly handle business with zero arbitration issues, and that matters more than people think. But first, the Cy Young winner and his team are miles apart in arbitration. So, Travis, does that tension quietly open a door for the Dodgers?
I certainly hope so. I mean, I think there's an opportunity to jump in when someone else is unhappy. Let's get into it on today's episode of Locked On Dodgers, which is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
Travis, he is riding shotgun every weekday from 3 to 6 on the Travis and DeMarco Show on 710 ESPN LA. And if you're not near a radio, the ESPN LA app keeps you plugged in wherever you are. For me, when I'm not calling USC football or Raiders games in Spanish, this is where I lock in. Just us, talking Dodgers, connecting the dots, doing this thing every single weekday. If this is your first time here, welcome. You're in now. And to our everydayers, you already know this doesn't happen without you. If you're watching on YouTube, please show us some love. Hit the like button, jump in the comments, and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever, drop that 5-star rating and help us spread the Dodger blue. And remember, you can always join the conversation on the Locked On Dodgers listener line, 2793-LOCKED or 279-356-2533. All right, let's kick things off. When stars draw a line, the Skubals standoff help the Dodgers. We start in Detroit because what happened there this week might not look like Dodgers news, but it absolutely could become Dodgers news. The Tigers reached agreement with almost every arbitration-eligible player they had. Almost. The one exception, Tarik Skubal, two-time Cy Young Award winner, the ace, the face of their franchise. And when arbitration figures were exchanged, the gap was massive, Travis. Skubal's camp came in north of $30 million. The Tigers countered under $20 million. That right there is not a disagreement. That's a philosophical divide.
Yeah, it is. And the baseball arbitration system is pretty interesting. And that's why very few of these cases actually end up in front of an arbitrator, because the gap is big, right? That typically you'll see numbers that are relatively close to each other, so teams can come to an agreement with their players. So nobody either has to pay big or nobody has their feelings involved. But because, like you laid out, this is such a wide gap. And by the way, the arbiter doesn't come in and say, we're going to split the difference. They pick a winner. They say, okay, you get your 30 or no, you get the 20. And there is no middle ground. That's why they're typically settle somewhere in the middle. So both say, the old saying goes, if everybody walks away unhappy, it's a pretty good deal. So only one person's walking away unhappy in this situation. So it really is interesting. I think it's fascinating that the Tigers have decided to, I don't want to say yank his chain, but to create some environment where there is it's adversarial, like you just laid out, Harry. Tarik Skubal, if he's not the best pitcher in baseball, he's real close. At worst he's 2 or 3, and
at worst he's 2 in my opinion. It's him and Skeens. That's it.
Him and Skeens, yeah. Throw him in a hat, and I'll let you pick first, and whoever I get, I'm fine with. That's how good of a pitcher he is. And teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees and these other teams, he's getting closer to his free agency, and the closer that gets to, the more likely that those heavy hitters are going to come in and be able to make him a pitch that the Tigers are simply not going to be able to match. So it's fascinating to me. I'm really surprised that it got to this point, because The Tigers are either going to be, I don't know if upset is the word, but at least disappointed that they're going to have to pay a rate much higher than they were expecting, or Skubal's going to be incredibly frustrated knowing that he's going to have to play for a rate that was well under what he believes he deserves. So this is really interesting, and somebody is going to be in their feelings by the time that this is over.
Yeah, and look, now, arbitration hearings, they don't guarantee a breakup. Deals can still happen, but Detroit has historically treated that exchange deadline like a brick wall, because once numbers are submitted, they usually let a panel decide. And that process definitely can strain relationships even when a player wins. So Skubal, let's remember, he's also entering his final year of team control. No extension has been reached yet. No long-term security. Just one more season before free agency. And here's the key one for Dodgers fans. Elite players don't just want to get paid. They want to feel valued. If Skubal goes to a hearing and wins, he could reset arbitration records. If he loses, that bitterness doesn't disappear. Either way, the clock is ticking, in my opinion, and it's like the Tigers should have taken care of this way before they got to this point if they really wanted Skubal. This right now leaves the doors wide open.
This is what I don't. You're right. I agree with you 100%. This is the part I don't get. Like, just give him what he wants. Give him the high dollar. And let's just say the Tigers give him the 30. Let's say that the Tigers open up the 2026 season and it doesn't go well, or he's not pitching well, or the team is underperforming, or whatever it may be. You could trade him like that. There'll be a line of people that will want him. You're not stuck with this in any meaningful way. So I'm really surprised that they're kind of digging their heels in on it. And look, you said it. When somebody tells you, I don't think you're worth that, that sticks with you. That is something that you're not just going to go, oh, I get it, it's a business. No, you're putting what you think I'm worth is 30% less than what I think I'm worth. That's a huge gap. So I would imagine that this lingers, and I get it. Everybody is trying to do what's best for themselves. Skubal's trying to do what's best for him. The Tigers are trying to do what's best for the Tigers. I understand it, but that doesn't mean that emotions don't get involved. And, the second there's a crack between a great player and their team, and especially a player that's getting ready to enter free agency potentially anyway, all of the rich guys and all of the guys that are already interested in a player like that get even more interested. It's a really, really interesting story.
Travis, I'll tell you in my case, I've asked for a raise recently. I got told no, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go somewhere else, show my talents, get paid way more, and show you my value that somewhere else out there, I'm going to get the type of money that I want, that I need. And it's like, then you can just go over there and be like, told you, I'm out. And it's like as simple as that. And look, now, am I saying the Dodgers are about to swoop in tomorrow? No, but are they the type of organization that monitors situations like this closely? Absolutely. They don't need drama. They leverage it. They've shown time and time again that they're able and willing to pay elite talent market value, B, avoid contentious arbitration battles, and C, offer stability and long-term vision. Look at Mookie Betts with the Red Sox. He wanted to get paid. He didn't get paid over there. The Dodgers took care of him. Look at Shohei Ohtani. He wanted to stay with the Angels. They weren't able to keep him. Now he's a two-time World Series champion. He's done things that no other baseball player has ever done since he joined the Dodgers. And you can go case over case over case over case, both of elite players and players lower in the totem pole, that the Dodgers have made them feel value, and now they got multiple rings in their hand because they joined the organization that is ran better than none other in pro sports.
What's so interesting to me too is these guys are so hard to get there, and when you land one, or in the Tigers case, you draft one and you develop one, you would think this is the golden goose. This is the thing that you protect at all costs, and this isn't a one-off where a guy showed up and had an amazing season, and you're like, okay, he's had two back-to-back amazing seasons. There doesn't appear to be anything about what he does that isn't incredibly reliable and projectable. Like Tarik Skubal 3, 4, 5 years from now, I think he's going to be Tarik Skubal. I mean, he might get hurt. They all get hurt, but that's really not that big of a deal anymore. You put them back together and they go out there and they perform at a high level. This is, I always thought that this was kind of a pie in the sky, maybe they someday somewhere, but this kind of accelerates that timeline. And it's not just the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are certainly on that list of teams that could, take advantage of the fact that there's some animosity between the two sides. I'm sure the Yankees are having a meeting. I'm sure the Cubs and the Braves and the Phillies and all of these other teams are getting together and talking about it. It's like, hey, how can we make sure that Tarik Skubal knows that we're interested in him and that the agency knows that we're interested in him, and that I can't believe the Tigers are doing this to you. All of those sorts of things that happen when people get emotional.
And their agents are in their ears like, hey,
Sure.
Skubal deserves to be the first ever $400 million pitcher. And if Detroit reaches a point where they're forced to choose between holding on to a disgruntled ace or maximizing value, that's when teams like the Dodgers enter the conversation. Because this isn't about desperation. The Dodgers already have a fantastic rotation. It's about opportunity. When elite pitching cracks open even slightly, the Dodgers are always standing nearby, and we'll keep you tuned into everything related to Tarik Skubal and the Dodgers, informed right here on Locked On Dodgers. Next on Locked On Dodgers, while one contender stares down arbitration tension, the Dodgers quietly avoided all of it. No hearings, no hostility, just clean business. We'll tell you why that matters more than fans realize next. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has the time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You can set budgets and goals, get personalized insights, and receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. It even consolidates your checkings, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard so you get a clear view of your entire financial picture. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Once again, that's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Dodgers with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. No drama, just business. Dodgers keep arbitration clean. While other teams, like the Tigers, are exchanging figures and bracing for hearings, the Dodgers did what they almost always do. They handled it. All 4 arbitration-eligible players signed, settled, done. Signed, sealed, delivered. No hearings, no public disputes, no uncomfortable sound bites. That's not accidental, Travis. That's just organizational philosophy.
This is one of the things that we've talked about a lot. We talked about it a lot yesterday. This is why you got to be an everydayer and check us out every single day, because the Dodgers and I do Locked On Rams too. We talk about DMAC and I talk about this on the Rams, and I think this is a hallmark of very, very, very successful teams. Notice that I didn't put the Lakers in there, and that there's no noise, or there's very, very little noise, and that contract negotiations, look, every team has them, right? Every team is going to have a guy that wants to be paid more. The team is going to try to keep costs relatively under control if they can, and there's going to be negotiations, and I'm sure there are moments where both sides have frustrations, but with the Dodgers, with the Rams, it almost never goes public. It runs pretty smoothly. That all of a sudden, I'll use the Rams as an example, more recently, where Kyren Williams and the Rams were negotiating a new contract. And all of a sudden, it's done. There's no like, I don't like this, he's holding out. It's just the Rams and Kyren Williams have come to an agreement on a new contract. And it just happens like that. Quentin Lake, it just happens like that. The Dodgers, when they have somebody they want, They find a way to get it done, and it happens quietly and smoothly. And I think this speaks to their culture. It speaks to the players that they target. They don't target noisy guys. And asking for more money isn't necessarily making you a noisy guy. That's just making you a business guy. That's making you try to be, prepare for yourself, your family, your future, all of this stuff. But the Dodgers don't have guys that the second they don't get what they want the first time they ask, they blow it up into a thing. I think it speaks to why the team runs as smoothly as it does. There's very little drama. There's very little stuff that we talk about outside of baseball. We talk about performance. We talk about lineups. We talk about in-game decisions. We talk about all of this stuff, but it's never, can you believe that player X did blank? Can you believe that the organization did blank? It's very rare for teams like this to do that. And I don't think it's a coincidence that these are the teams that are more often than not in the middle of playoff hunts.
And for example, and while I'm leaving the topic that we're talking about this segment, but I'm pretty sure Max Muncy and his agents want more than what they already have for 2025, 2026. But you're not hearing anything of it. It might be getting taken care of behind the scenes. And when it happens, it was like, well, it makes a lot of sense for the Dodgers. It's not something that is out there in the limelight where it's like, wait, what? Oh man, is Max Muncy gonna get traded? Is our third baseman not happy, and is he gonna leave? No, it's all taken care of behind the scenes, and this is a team that doesn't need those type of what ifs from the outside of the building taking over.
Well, think about this, and I'm glad you brought up Muncy because it reminded me of something that. Who is one of the most popular Dodgers over the last 10 or 15 years? Justin Turner, right? Justin Turner was an incredibly popular player in Los Angeles. We saw it.
He still is.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be shocked if Justin Turner were back with the organization in a real meaningful way down the road. Justin Turner wanted 2 years. The Dodgers wanted 1. They couldn't come to an agreement, and he went, and he ultimately went to Boston, and he's bounced around a little bit since then. But it never got loud and noisy and public. I'm sure Justin Turner was disappointed he didn't get what he wanted. I'm sure the Dodgers were disappointed that they weren't able to bring back a fan favorite at something that made sense for them as well. But like you just said, Dodger fans still love him. It doesn't seem like there's hard feelings, at least not public hard feelings when it comes to Justin Turner, and a reunion between those two sides, whether it's in a coaching role, a manager's role, a front office role, whatever it may be, because it feels like Justin Turner is going to be around baseball for his entire life. It could easily be back in Los Angeles with the Dodgers. It ended, but it didn't end noisy and messy and ugly. It just ended. And sometimes things just end. And I think that speaks to the way that they run their front office. I think it speaks to the type of players that they choose to do business with. Not that there aren't some things that kind of get off the rails a little bit. That's inevitable, but it doesn't happen very often with them. And when you can have a popular player like Turner leave the team under circumstances and no one's really furious or publicly angry, then I think you've got a pretty good thing going.
No doubt about it. Let's go back to the arbitration situation with the Dodgers, getting deals done with all 4 players. Graterol, we spoke about yesterday because that deal was done earlier, $2.8 million in 2025. Brock Stewart, $1.3 million after getting $870,000 in 2025. You had Alex Call, $1.6 million this year, pre-arbitration in 2025. And Banda, $1.625 million. He made $1 million in 2025. So numbers where Graterol, he matches his salary from the previous year. Stewart, he gets a bump. You get Banda getting a bump, and Call getting a number that he is happy with, and that he is also happy knowing that he's in an organization like when he got traded, it was like, wait, I'm going to be in the World Series. I'm going to potentially win a ring because I'm getting traded in the trade deadline. So that's a good situation. Graterol, this is a big one for me because he missed all of last season. There's injury questions, but when he's on the mound, when he's healthy, he gives you something that this bullpen desperately missed in 2025, a right-hander who ends things. So that's great. Banda, a perfect example of Dodgers development and stability, because after he bounced around the majors early in his career, he found a home in LA, and suddenly he becomes one of the most trusted arms in the bullpen. 70+ appearances, consistency, reliability, rewarded accordingly. These 2 guys were with the team since the beginning of the season in 25. They get rewarded here. Graterol because of potential, and you got Banda because of what he did in the year, Travis.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. Graterol is more like just run it back and see if we can get him healthy and see what happens. I think that's more just let's see what happens. Banda is an important part of what they do. I think he earned that bump and then some. He's been really, really good for them, been very reliable, been very available, which, as we know, in the bullpen is a big deal. If you can take the ball regularly, that's a big deal. I think you nailed it. Call appreciates being on a team that's really good. That we all know the story when can you imagine your phone rings? They're like, hey, we traded you. Your first reaction is probably like, oh man, really? Where?
Don't tell me
Dodgers.
Colorado,
What?
please.
Yeah, the dot. Okay, great. I'll meet you at the airport. Let's go. I think he appreciates that. So they're in a really, and Brock Stewart, we'll see. We just haven't seen him nearly enough. But all of those guys, none of them broke the bank, but I'm sure they're all very happy to be back. And the Dodgers, one of my favorite things about the way that they do it is they have lots of options. They never kind of lock themselves into one particular way to do things. And this gives them a lot of flexibility. It gives them guys that other teams, I think, could potentially be interested in too. Because look, you know this, I know this, all baseball fans know this. The team that opens up the regular season will not be the team at the end of the season. They all change every year. The 25, 26 guys you start with, you'll have 17 of them by the end of the year, but you're not going to have all of them. And a lot of those guys are coming in and out. And, these guys certainly understand that. Those are the sorts of guys that tend to move.
Yeah, and look, he's depth, but meaningful depth. Outfield flexibility, which is something that this franchise's front office loves. Professional ABs, a player who understands his role. He isn't going to be like, hey, I need to be out there every single day. No, whenever he gets a chance, he's going to take advantage of it. Stewart, injury-shortened season. Unfortunately, the injury happened once he arrived to LA after the trade deadline, but when healthy, he was effective with Minnesota, so the Dodgers aren't panicking. They're planning. The bigger picture right here is this, though. They aren't embarrassing players. They don't nickel and dime. They don't turn hearings into character assassinations, let's call it that way. That matters when stars decide where they want to play, and maybe even a Tarik Skubal. He looks over, hey, let me see what the Dodgers did in arbitration. Oh, they took care of all their guys. That's a team that I want to be with. Look at it that way as a potential future building block for the guys that are the next wave of stars for the boys in blue. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, listener line time. Miguel Rojas' future, defending Dodgers spending, and the most important, what I'm sure will be a very interesting debate, is one regarding food.
The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, which are almost here, well, way to go, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app, which means each game day, you're going to see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets that you like the most. You open your profit boost pack first thing on game day, and you see what boost you want to apply. The boosts, they let you lean into your game day instincts. So whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching, the boost gives you more juice on the bets that you already like instead of forcing you to bet on something new. So every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. So you make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
All right, let's go to the listener line. You know you can always hit it up here on Locked On Dodgers. 279-3-LOCKED or 279-356-2533. Segment number 3. We close out the week this way with you. First up, G-Fish. He's asking about Miguel Rojas. He said, do you think the signing of Miguel Rojas is more of a thank you for what you have done? We want you to become a coach or part of upper management? Or do you think he will actually be on the opening day roster next season? Travis, I think it's both. Rojas absolutely brings leadership, preparation, and the clubhouse value and vibe. And yes, there's a future in coaching or front office path there if he wants it, which that's going to be the case. But this isn't charity. He's going to be on the opening day roster.
Oh, no, he's going to play. I don't think he's going to play every day, or at least, and I think everybody will understand what I'm about to say. I hope he doesn't play every day, because if he's playing every day, that means that something unforeseen has happened, that one of your regulars is missing some significant time. But yes, I think he's still a very valuable major league player. We saw it, just a few months ago when he did in the World Series. And I think what his greatest value, though, is his professionalism. We saw, he hit that home run, and that's the thing we're going to remember forever. But don't forget, he didn't play through the first part of, literally did not play through the early part of that World Series, but he kept himself ready to go. And I think that sort of example and that sort of professionalism is a big reason why they're keeping him there, so other players can see it, younger players can see it. And I don't think anybody is surprised that Miguel Rojas is going to be a manager in the major leagues one day. I don't know if it's going to be in LA. Dave Roberts seems like he's got a pretty good grip on that job right now. I don't think that the Dodger job is going to open up anytime soon, but I would bet a pretty good chunk that Miguel Rojas is going to manage a baseball team at one point or another.
I mean, just look at him. Defensive versatility, baseball IQ, trust in big moments, and Rojas gives them all of that. He doesn't need 500 plus at bats to justify a roster spot. He needs just to be ready when his number is called, and he has proven that he always is.
Yeah, you talk about one of the things that you have to be really good at in the modern major leagues is you have to be able to move within the different groups inside of your clubhouse. That there are, the good teams won't have a ton of clicks, but all teams have groups. You have your Latin players, you have your Asian players, you have your American players. You have all of these different groups. You have your pitchers, you have your relief pitchers, you have there's just little groups inside of the larger group, and you need to be able to move within and out of all of those teams and have people trust you and be able to communicate with all of these different groups. The fact that he's multilingual, I think, is incredibly important. That's a big part of being a manager in baseball right now. So he checks just about every single box. And, I've gotten a chance to sit with him a couple of times and chat with him. He's a rock star, man. He really is. He's just an incredibly impressive individual, very thoughtful, very smart, understands baseball at a level that is just really unbelievable. So I'm a huge Miguel Rojas fan.
One more from G-Fish. Do you agree with your co-host Travis Rodgers that a hot dog is an appetizer? Travis,
yes,
you're wrong, man. A hot dog is not an appetizer. Yes, it can be eaten before a meal, but that doesn't make it an appetizer. That's a main event with bun privilege, in my opinion. We literally had dinner last night, being hot dogs wrapped in bacon, with onions, with avocados, with ketchup, spicy mustard. It was amazing. And that was dinner even before I was getting into the mailbag and seeing, literally, I was like, it's perfect timing that G-Fish asked that question, without knowing that I had hot dog as dinner. That was our dinner.
So the answer is it can be a meal like you just described, Harry, but let me just paint you a quick picture on why I believe that a hot dog is an appetizer. Let's say, for instance, that you're having a bunch of people over to watch a baseball game. Let's say that you're having somebody over to watch a little World Series action or opening day action, and you go out on your grill and you decide that you're going to cook people some food. And so you've got your burgers out there. Maybe you got a little chicken. Maybe you're throwing some steaks on there. But on that top rack, you just throw a few dogs on there, right? And as the rest of your food is cooking, you pull one of those dogs off and you just start eating it as you're preparing the rest of the food for everybody else. You toast the bun up. You give yourself, it is a rest of the meal appetizer that you just kind of have one or two. If you go beyond two, then we're getting into meal situation. But 2 hot dogs before you take down the rest of the meal, that is a perfect little outdoor barbecue baseball appetizer.
That was me. I murdered 3 of them last night.
Yeah, so there you go. Perfect.
It was delicious. Shout out to my wife. That was fantastic. All right, moving on now to Dom from LA, but he is currently in Connecticut. Great question. How do I defend the Dodgers from Yankees, Mets, and Red Sox fans that the Dodgers are nothing but a money-eating team that take advantage of the salary cap, making unfair competition? Go Dodger Blue. So once again, context. He is from LA, but he's in Connecticut, so he gets a lot of interaction with fans from the teams from New York and also from Boston. Here's the answer. Spending money doesn't guarantee intelligence. The Dodgers spend, yes, but they also develop talent, trade smart, avoid long-term disasters, build systems that maximize money, not waste it. How many years, Travis Rodgers, have the Yankees, Mets, and Red Sox been the top spenders in baseball and not won it all? Mic drop right there.
This is easy. You know, if this question came from Kansas City or Pittsburgh or Minnesota or one of those, it's a more challenging question to answer because they simply don't have the resources that the Dodgers have. The Yankees, the Mets, and the Red Sox, the Yankees went through the early part of the 21st century called the Evil Empire because they were the ones doing all of the spending. They were the ones collecting all the best players. And look, they were really good. But to your point, Harry, the reason the Yankees went on that great run was because of Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada, Bernie Williams. All of those guys were homegrown guys. Money, to your point, doesn't guarantee success. Money well spent certainly helps. The Mets, they spend more money than just about anybody, and they didn't even make the playoffs. Money doesn't equal success. The Red Sox were a high-spending team. I think they will be a high-spending team again at some point or another. They just decided to back off for reasons. I don't know. But if you want to win, it's going to cost. And the Dodgers have spent not just a lot of money, but they've spent really smart money where other teams have thrown it at players and at decisions that simply have not paid off. The Dodgers also, here's my favorite thing about this. You look at these deals. None of them are over market value. Like none of them are like, oh my God, the Juan Soto deal is already a bad deal. It's already a deal that is not bearing. Now he's still a really good player. I'm not saying that, but for what you get from him and what he does, okay, it better result in a whole bunch of winning. It has not. Yamamoto has resulted in winning. Ohtani has resulted in winning. Betts has resulted in winning. Freeman has resulted in winning. And none of these deals, whether it's Snell, whether it's Will Smith, whether it's any of the Edwin Diaz, the deal that they just gave him, it's a lot, but it's not 20% over what the market thought it was going to get. It's about what everybody thought. In guys like Snell's case, it's actually slightly less than a lot of people thought he was going to get because they've built that culture that we've talked about. Money is important, but it's not the only thing.
No doubt about it. And look, the Dodgers don't break rules. They just master them. And that's the difference with the Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, and other big spending teams that have fans crying foul right now. Oh, the Dodgers, they spend so much. It's like, well, hey, we take care of business.
If you're the Twins or the Pirates, I'm genuinely sympathetic to the system that's set up because you have virtually no chance to beat a team like that. But it doesn't mean you can't make the playoffs. It doesn't mean you can't win your divisions. It means that you need to maximize your decisions. But that's not where the question came from.
Hey, look, for those watching on video, I'm sympathetic too. That'll do it for today's pod. Thank you so much for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Dodgers ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. Travis, that was fun, man. We had a little break right there for the new year, but we had 4 amazing shows, 4 very interesting shows this week. But we'll be back next week with more here on Locked On Dodgers, right?
Here's what I'll do, Harry, before we go, is the next time you're getting ready to make a meal, the next time that you're getting ready to have a cookout, then put a couple of dogs on there, have them before you get everything else out there, and then you tell me that a hot dog isn't an appetizer. I guarantee you're going to come to my side.
Hey, if I eat a hot dog or two, I'm full before getting some carne asada or a chicken or whatever. So that for me is a full meal. Let us know in the comments. Is a hot dog an appetizer or a meal? Let us know if you agree with Travis or if you agree with me. Shout out to everybody hitting us up on the Locked On Dodgers listener line. We love hearing from you. 279-3-LOCKED. All right. Thank you so much. That was an awesome week. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.